Welcome to photosNtravel, a show that introduces you to fascinating places around the world. Please welcome our host and tour guide, Jonathan Van Bilsen.
Hello and welcome to this episode of photosNtravel, where we bring the world to your doorstep. In today's show, we're visiting the Scandinavian countries of Finland and Sweden. Scandinavia is a region in Northern Europe comprising of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Iceland. It's known for its stunning natural beauty, rich history, and quality of life. We'll begin our adventure right after these messages.
PP Print is excited to offer Port Perry wearables, featuring two great designs. Show your Skugog pride with apparel and headwear. We have you covered. PP Print, more than just print.
Not all Canadians have the time nor desire to manage their finances, and often that responsibility is up to financial professionals. Our goal is to help Canadian families achieve a happy and successful financial future. Visit us, the McClellan Financial Group of Asante Capital Management.
Welcome back. As I mentioned, we're starting our Scandinavian adventure in Helsinki, the capital city of Finland. I stayed in the center of the city, making it easy to walk to most sites. As it turns out, I was near the bus station, which was extremely convenient for getting around the city. Finland's capital city is very modern, yet maintaining old architecture, such as this, the train station, used by approximately 200,000 passengers every day, making it Finland's most visited building. The most well-known structure in the capital is the Helsinki Cathedral, a Lutheran church located in the center of the city. The church was built in 1852 as a tribute to Tsar Nicholas I of Russia, and was also known as St. Nicholas Church until the independence of Finland in 1917. The cathedral boasts a beautiful white exterior with green domes and columns. It's one of the most iconic landmarks of the city and attracts visitors from all over the world. The cathedral houses various religious events and also serves as a popular tourist destination. Helsinki is located in southern Finland on the shore of the Gulf of Finland and has a population of 1.3 million inhabitants, making it the most populous municipality in Finland. The city is situated some 80 kilometers or 50 miles north of Estonia and 300 kilometers or 190 miles west of St. Petersburg. Consequently, Helsinki has a close historical connection with these cities. Uspensky Cathedral is an Eastern Orthodox cathedral dedicated to the Virgin Mary. The cathedral is situated on a hillside of the Katajanokka Peninsula overlooking the city. At the back of the cathedral is a plaque commemorating Russian Emperor Alexander II, who was the sovereign of the Grand Duchy of Finland during the cathedral's construction in 1862. Uspensky Cathedral is claimed to be the largest Orthodox church in Western Europe. About 500,000 tourists visit the church annually. Helsinki has a good mix of modern and old architecture. Bridges such as this one are used as lock holders by lovers who wish to secure their relationship for all eternity. Located along the harbor is Helsinki's market, which is home to dozens of vendors selling vegetables, fruits, and a variety of dry goods. Being a seaside port, fish and seafood products are of course a big commodity. A trip away from the harbor takes us along various buildings, statues, and houses which make up the diversified architecture of Helsinki. Some of the stately mansions date back hundreds of years, whereas others are relatively new. A small one-bedroom apartment costs approximately €500,000 or $735,000. The cost of living in Finland, and all of Scandinavia for that matter, is extremely high compared to North American or Western European standards. Art is very important to the Finns and can be taken to extremes, as can be seen here with this, the Clothesline exhibit, located right downtown. There are various museums throughout the city depicting art and culture. The plans for this, the Church of the Rock, were designed in 1930, but construction did not begin until 1969. Natural light filters in through the glass doors and the acoustics are fantastic, mostly due to the design of the ceiling. Here we see the Parliament buildings constructed in 1931 and adorned with statues. A series of elevators takes hundreds of people at once to the top of this office building. The harbour in Helsinki is the largest in Finland, with over 5 million people passing through each year, mostly on their way to Stockholm and Estonia. There are 330 islands located throughout the harbour, the most famous being Suomenlinna, which houses a large maritime museum. Until 1918, this fortress, built on 6 islands, was used to protect the city against potential invaders. Built in the mid-1700s to fend off Russian attacks, the fortress was eventually handed to the Russians in 1809, making way for the occupation which lasted until Finland gained independence in 1917. Today, the fortress is used mainly by tourists and locals who enjoy picnics on warm summer days. The Gulf of Finland is home to many species of birds, including Canada geese, which look slightly different than the ones we're used to at home. Many private homes and government buildings are found throughout the harbor, as are fishermen, cruise ships, restaurants, and a variety of water sports. As we leave the Harbour District with one last glance at Helsinki Cathedral, we say farewell to this beautiful Finnish city. I continued east from Helsinki to visit the quaint and picturesque village of Porvoo. Porvoo is one of 6 medieval towns in Finland, first mentioned in texts dating back to the 14th century. It received its name from a Swedish fortress near the river Porvunjoki, which flows through the town. The central point of the town is the stone and brick Porvoo Cathedral, which was damaged by fire in 2006. The roof was totally destroyed, but the interior fortunately was largely intact. The town is famed for its Old Town, a dense medieval street pattern with predominantly wooden houses and shops adorned with artwork. The Old Town came close to being demolished in the 19th century by the new urban plan for the city. The plan, however, was cancelled due to a popular resistance. The red-colored wooden storage buildings seen here on the riverside are a proposed UNESCO World Heritage Site. Already by the 19th century, the authorities understood the value of the Old Town, and so with the need for growth, a plan was made for a new town, built adjacent to the old one, following a grid plan but with houses also constructed of wood. I also make time to visit the Home House Museum, located right in the middle of this beautiful historic town. Home House was built in 1763 and provides an opportunity to see how a wealthy Porvoo merchant family lived at the end of the 18th century. The living room, salon, smoking room, and laundry room, as well as one of the bedrooms, are being refurbished by the museum. The town is primarily a tourist haven with its many shops, restaurants, and bakeries. Strolling through the cobblestone streets was fun, especially considering the weather was warm and sunny. Helsinki is a fantastically modern city and a country with the happiest people on earth. I loved wandering through the cobbled streets of Porvoo and checking out all the little shops. In April of 2023, Finland was accepted into NATO, strengthening the Western alliance against potential Russian threats. We'll continue our trek with a visit to Sweden and its capital city of Stockholm, right after these messages.
At Vasa, your independent grocer, it's all about hometown living and shopping. Owned and operated by Terry and Christine Voss, their newly renovated Port Perry store carries many local items to support our town and its residents.
Pet Value has a fleet of services to help you and your pets live their very best lives. Visit Pet Value in Port Perry and discover a world of expertise, friendly staff, and everything you need for your pets. Pet Value, your pet, your store.
Welcome back. As I mentioned, we'll continue our trip to this part of Scandinavia with a visit to Stockholm and its surrounding area. Stockholm is Sweden's capital city and is home to beautiful architecture and many interesting pieces of street art. The theater district is next to the shopping area where a variety of high-end goods can be purchased while strolling along narrow cobblestone streets. The Royal Palace is home to the current King Carl Gustaf and his wife Queen Sylvia. Built in the 13th century, the palace has 1,430 rooms and 660 windows, and is one of the largest palaces in the world today. The streets of Stockholm are always busy with commuters rushing to and from work, tourists scurrying to see the sights, and a variety of cultural events always taking place. The housing market in Sweden soared by 98% during the first decade of the new millennium. By 2012, new home construction had dropped by 45%, largely due to a decline in net exports because of the strong currency of the krona. The rental cost for one small bedroom apartment is about 1,500 euros or $1,600 a month, but the difficulty is not in cost as much as it is in availability. The harbor off the coast of Stockholm is home to approximately 30,000 islands, most of which are not inhabited. Although a busy cruise port, there is still room for local tours throughout all the picturesque inlets. I passed by many large hotels which line the banks and offer accommodation and lunches to tourists and locals alike. Here I passed the Gröna Lund or Green Grove amusement park, which has more than 30 attractions, very popular among residents. I passed many former castles and manor houses, most of which are now privately owned. Passing through the various locks in this beautiful waterway gave me an opportunity to view the workings of the harbor. Many people prefer to spend the night on their boat. In Stockholm's archipelago, there are many guest harbors to choose from where you can moor up safely and comfortably for a night or two before heading out on your next adventure. Much of the architecture in Stockholm dates back to the 17th and 18th century and is constructed in a Dutch-style design. Although it began to rain during my harbor cruise, the 3-hour tour was still very interesting. The weather did not seem to take away from the locals' activities or those of the aquatic life. A vast majority of buildings along the harbor are condos, as this area has become extremely affluent, commanding very high prices for rent. The The area is known as the Royal Seaport and is one of the largest urban development areas in Northern Europe. The plans, which have been in the works since the early 2000s, include 12,000 new homes and 35,000 workplaces. I finished my tour near the National Museum and decided to enjoy lunch at the Grand Hotel. The atmosphere was amazing, although a sandwich in a Carlsberg was just over €100. I continued my trek to the Vasa Museum, home of the famous Swedish warship built in the 1600s. When the ship was built, it was the pride of the Swedish Navy. However, it was quite top-heavy, and there was concern about instability. King Gustav was an impatient man, and against recommendations wanted to send the flagship out to join the rest of the fleet. Before it even left the harbor, it became unbalanced and it toppled, sinking a mere 20 minutes from where it was launched. The beautiful bronze cannons, intricate artwork, and many treasures lay beneath shallow waters until the ship was raised in the 1950s. An embarrassment to the Swedish Navy during the 30 Years' War, which engulfed most of Europe, the museum is now a reminder of Sweden's colorful past. A visit to an allotment garden proved to be an interesting as well as an educational experience. Swedes who live in Stockholm have an opportunity to purchase small parcels of land on the outskirts of town, which can be used as gardens and getaway places. There's no electricity, no overnight accommodation, and you are not allowed to leave it to anyone in your family when you pass away. Drottningholm Palace is the private residence of the royal family of Sweden and is located on a small island outside the city. Built in the 1500s, it's one of Europe's most beautiful palaces, with a spectacular garden constructed 100 years later. The palace has been modernized and is open to tourists, but the gardens are still the most popular attraction. Sometimes known as the English Gardens, they're made up mostly of pathways, towering hedges, fountains, and artwork, and make for beautiful places to relax. Several buildings on the site have been constructed or donated by other countries. Like all European cities, Stockholm has a fantastic old quarter filled with cobblestone streets, statues, churches with beautiful architecture, and quaint houses. Here we see Morten Trosik's Lane, the narrowest street in the entire city of Stockholm. The Parliament buildings in Stockholm are located in the Old City. They were built at the turn of the 20th century and are home to Sweden's Parliament. Unlike many other parliamentary countries, the Prime Minister of Sweden is nominated by the Speaker of the Riksdag and then elected through negative parliamentarism. In practice, this means that the Prime Minister's nominee is confirmed if fewer than 175 members of Parliament vote no, regardless of the number of yes votes or abstentions. A haven for tourists, the Old Town has no shortage of restaurants or shops, but the town square is still the focal point, with its picturesque buildings, beautiful statues, and many interesting stores, including this, the oldest restaurant in Sweden, dating back to the 1600s. There seems to be a fascination in Sweden for antique cars, as many are seen driving around the streets on a regular basis. Stockholm has about 1 million inhabitants, but if you incorporate the surrounding area, the population is more than 2.5 million people. The area has been inhabited as far back as 8000 BCE. And of course, being Scandinavian, it's been home to the Vikings since the 700s. A visit to the Scandinavian countries of Sweden and Finland was amazing, and we'll finish the region in a later show where we'll showcase Norway and Denmark. Both Helsinki and Stockholm possess fantastic historical elements and yet have a very modern edge to them. Visiting towns like Porvoo is like taking a step back in time. For Photos and Travel, I'm Jonathan Van Bilsen. It's been my pleasure to be your tour guide today, and I look forward to our next adventure. If you enjoyed this program, please click the subscribe button and you'll never miss an episode.
Want to know what's happening in Skugog? News and lifestyle, changes in business, and all the entertainment information you'll ever need. Plus, each edition has a new Photos and Travel article. Look for your next copy in your mailbox.
As our communities begin the slow road to reopening, there are still issues needing closure. In these crazy times, let us be a roadmap to community events and issues we face together. TheStandardNewspaper.ca, raising the standard in our community.